Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video. I'm here in Salinas, California at Trajectory EV with Sean McCluskey, and I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing here. This is a nice workshop that he's put together. I want him to talk about it a little bit, what he's doing with EV conversions. This is an original, I guess, resto mod Ford Ranger electric, but you're restoring a lot of other Ford Ranger electrics as well as other electric vehicles. And I'm really interested in this in terms of reusability, right to repair, but creating functional, usable electric vehicles that serve more of a purpose than just a commuter car. Sean and I have talked a bit, and we both kind of have a truck background in terms of what we've grown up with using that kind of tool, and not having an affordable truck option is kind of a problem, and this helps with that. And anyway, I just wanted to kind of do a quick interview, see what you're doing here, and just tell us a little bit about Trajectory EV, or maybe how it started.
Sure, yeah. So I've had electric vehicles for many years now, and as we were talking about, the cost savings is amazing, and being pragmatic about the cost can only get you so far when you're driving a little micro car.
Right.
And so I started really wanting a true full-size truck, and for a while I thought, well, I'll just wait. The Cybertruck's supposed to be coming out, the Rivian's going to come out, the Lightning's going to come out, the world's going to be taken over by trucks.
The Bollinger V1.
Yeah, the Bollinger was amazing. I wanted one. I saw one in Monterey during Car Week. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. But unless you have $100,000 to spend on something you can't customize and wait a year to 2 years to get it, you really can't get a truck.
Right.
And so then I started thinking, okay, well, do I really need a full-size truck for everyday driving? Maybe I can get away with a Ranger. And I've seen the Ranger EVs before. I thought they were amazing, so I bought one. And then I was like, well, it's more economical if I restore 2 at a time, or 3 at a time, or 8 or 9 at a time.
As the case might be.
Yes, as the case might be. And then the logical extension then was, I need a shop. And then while I'm at it, I should do other EV stuff, because you can fill in the gaps and repair vehicles for people, and it really turned into a full-on company. And so now we've got about 9,000 square feet here. We officially opened January 1st of 22.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a crazy road. But yeah, it was great. So we do repairs, we do conversions, we do battery rebuilds for EVs that are, say an older EV where the only thing wrong with it is that it's got flooded lead acid batteries from the 90s in it, and it doesn't run anymore.
Right.
We fix those too.
Yeah, and I was really impressed too. You have the original RAV4, not the Tesla pack, but the NIM pack for the previous, I guess, 2000 to 2002 model years?
Yeah, that's about right.
Like that?
Yeah. This one's an 01.
Okay, so an 01, and it's really impressive. You're doing the rebuild. Maybe just talk a little bit about what you're doing to restore that NIM.
Sure, yeah. So we have a customer in San Jose who has had this car, has put 60,000, 70,000 miles on it, and the total resultant SOC after every charge has been going down. And generally that happens because of the way that the NIM charger kicks off. When you get some cells that are degrading pretty fast, they can artificially kick off the charger early. So we characterized every cell in the pack on voltage, we characterized it on self-discharge, and we characterized it on internal resistance. It's hard to do real capacity checks on such a wide range of NIM cells because of you need to have specific voltage drop cutoffs and thermal cutoffs and that kind of stuff. And then we crunched the data, did deviations on data, decided how many cells and which cells need to be replaced to get the pack back to its original configuration in terms of what would shut off the charger. And in general, this car is an amazing SIG. The owner has done an incredible job at taking care of it. And so we found 33 cells out of the original 240 cells that were degraded significantly. And then we took about 600 original cells that are the same age, and we did the same characterization on all 600 of those at the same state of charge. And then took the best ones that had the same characteristics and the same age, but were still in amazing shape, and swapped them back in.
Okay, and so that's really using, because we know the controversy, right, with certain companies buying NIM patents and you can't get the new cells anymore. But that's a case of restoring older cells. Now, you're doing something really interesting with these Ford Ranger electrics in terms of what are the battery cells that you're using to replace the Ranger's lead acid and NIM cells?
Yeah, so we use prismatic lithium iron phosphate cells from a company called EVE in China. I'd love to get them here. They don't make them in the States or anywhere in North America. And the really cool thing about these cells is that their 1C discharge rate is about 230 amps, and 2C, which they're rated to, is about 460 amps. But the way the Ranger is set up, you never need to pull more than about 250, 260 amps. So there'll never be a case where we can use these cells to their full 2C rated discharge, which is awesome because the pack will last a long time. And at the rate at the size pack we put in, we're looking at about 80 kilowatt hour, and we can get about 200 miles plus range on these charts.
A good usable range. So, and in terms of just what about, because this Ford Ranger Electrics had, from the lead acid, it was nearly a 1-ton pack, literally. And then they were able to drop it down with a NIM to about 1,100 pounds. How do these 230 amp hour EVE cells compare in terms of overall pack weight?
Right, so after we get all the cells in, the new BMS, the spoof board to make everything happy, and the upgraded charger, which is a little bit heavier, but we're adding a ton of functionalities to the charging system as well. We're only about 75, 80 pounds shy of the original pack weight.
For the NIM pack?
For the NIM pack, right, for the NIM pack, right. But you're almost tripling the original range, maybe quadrupling the original range.
Right, and for the people who are really interested in this as a work truck, just the research I've done, if you can preserve that stock curb weight for the NIM, it's about a 1,250 pound payload capacity, which makes these a very usable vehicle.
Yeah, so the Ranger EVs were not built on the standard two-wheel drive Ranger platform. The suspension is way beefier, the frame is way beefier. This Ranger actually has a much smaller pack, only about 30 kilowatt hour, and it's substantially lighter. And this one, we've loaded down easily 2,000 pounds in the bed of this truck, and we're nowhere near the bump stops. It's an extremely usable truck. Yeah. Much more so than the gas Ranger. Right,
exactly. That was what I was going to say, is it actually, ironically, has more payload capacity. And realistically, especially after 20 years, more power.
Yeah, so we've actually done a, not exceeding the speed limit, acceleration test of this versus the 4-liter V6 Ranger of the same age. And it's not even a comparison, the EV smokes it.
Yeah. The Ford Ranger Electric, this isn't the same as a conversion, right? A lot of the problems, and when I was at Fully Charged Live, one of the things that EV West was talking about with their conversions is these are 200 volt packs usually, and those aren't compatible with a lot of the newer systems or charging systems, things like that. Whereas the Ford Ranger Electric comes with a standard, it's a 400 volt, but about 330 volt nominal pack. And that opens up a lot of possibilities in terms of charging. So
right, exactly. So we're running a straight 6,600 watt charger on board. It can run at 110 volts, it can run at 220 volts. It's J1772, it's all modern infrastructure. The other thing it really allows you to do is if you start to look at reusing components to upgrade the truck. So for example, if you wanted to upgrade the vacuum system to a modern vacuum system, most current EVs have really advanced vacuum systems for power brakes, for example. And those are all high voltage pumps, 350 volt motors in the pumps. Well, if you have a 200 volt or 144 volt or something like that hybrid pack that you're using in a conversion, you can't use those. But this is a 350 volt system. You can off the shelf use a ton of components.
Yeah. So to step also away from the Ford Ranger Electrics, because I joked about this before, but there are apparently only a couple hundred of them left on the road, and a lot of them have actually been sent to Norway. But you're doing more than just that, because you also have a Suzuki that was an existing electric vehicle that you converted or repaired maybe?
Right, so it was a conversion from the early 2000s, 2001 I think. It's a 95 Suzuki. And it's the Sidekick, so it's the four-door, higher suspension, manual transmission, larger Suzuki. And we had a customer who really wanted a vehicle that had a very low carbon footprint. There was as few new components as possible. And so we took everything off, characterized it, made sure all the components were working. The ones that didn't work were replaced or upgraded to bring up to modern infrastructure capabilities. But we were able to reuse the motor, the controller, the DC-DC converter, all that stuff. And we've done other conversions similarly. We even did an electric sandrail for a show, and gave people trips around and pop some wheelies in an electric sandrail.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then the Sidekick it's a DC motor.
Right. Yep. So that's a 106 volt roughly nominal pack, but running a DC motor at a high discharge rate. So that pack is capable of 920 amps discharge, but the motor and controller really only need about 800 peak.
That's an important aspect too about offering these sort of conversions, like you said, low carbon footprint. Everything is on the table, right, in terms of whether it's DC or AC, you can work with either.
Right, and we do. Our goal is to really build vehicles that enable freedom for our customers, financial freedom, work freedom, that kind of stuff. And so we're not really tightly coupled to one drivetrain. So we have everything from Leaf motors. We've got some Remy motors, some Yasa motors, like really high-end axial flux, like $20,000 per motor kind of thing.
So if someone wanted to come to you for a performance car or performance truck, you could do that?
Yeah, we could do that. We generally stay away from that if we're building them for ourselves to sell. But if a customer came and brought a vehicle and requested it, we can do it.
Oh, okay. And actually, and maybe we glossed over that for the Ford Ranger Electric, because we've kind of been singing its praises, and I think Ford did a great job, but it's easy to overlook that while this is really sort of a first generation modern electric vehicle, it is AC, and a lot of the times when you see conversions, they're DC, right? Because that's what's easier to work with, lower cost, fewer battery cells, but this actually uses a Siemens AC induction motor, which enables regenerative braking and all of the functionality that you would expect from a modern electric vehicle.
Right, yeah, and actually if you take a 1998 or 1999, the NIMPAC Ranger, and you put it up against a 2012 or up to 2015 Model S, you see they're both 350 volt nominal packs, they're both AC induction motors of about the same physical size. They both have similar payload capacities on the hitch. It is amazing how far ahead Ford was on this vehicle.
Yeah, and that was actually my big frustration with the Chevrolet S10 EV truck, is here it is a perfect truck platform, but it's front wheel drive. Yeah. Whereas Ford is like, put it on a 4x4 frame with the rear wheel drive, the Didion rear axle that gives you that solid rear axle, and then just plug in basically a 100 kilowatt induction motor.
Right, yeah, and you really, the general rule that I tell people is, yes, your engine might be rated for 290 horsepower, your combustion engine. That is if you're running it at 5,000 RPM and shifting within, plus or minus a couple hundred RPM of that for everything. And no one does that, right? So whereas in electric, you get 100% of your output in terms of its effect on your acceleration and deceleration at every point. So what I tell people is double the power of what the electric motor is rated for, and that is going to give you what the feel is. So yes, Ford put like 100 horsepower roughly in this truck, but if you think about the fact that equates to a drivability of a similar 200 horsepower Ranger, a 200 horsepower Ranger is a kick-ass truck.
Right, yeah, exactly. You have the throttle response, you don't have the flywheel losses. That's what I ran into that actually converting 0 to 60 times, because the power converter calculators, they don't work with electrics because they're assuming a 20 to 25% flywheel loss. Mm-hmm. So you actually have to add 20% to the power just to get an accurate estimation of what your 0 to 60 time would be. So yeah, people I think sleep on exactly what EVs are capable of in terms of delivering power to the ground. But speaking of delivery, right? So we joked about it, but you have 9 Ford Rangers. Is that counting your personal one right now?
Yes, this is counting my personal.
Okay, but what is your sort of future goal for some of these Rangers that you're fixing up and restoring?
Yeah, so ideally, in a perfect world, we would sell the majority of that to a fleet customer, because our goal, at the end of the day, I did this as a base goal because I want to make the world a better place. I want to reduce tailpipe emissions, right? And yes, the common feedback here is that, well, you got to make that power from somewhere, and then that's true. But here in Monterey County, we have a lot of providers that are 100% renewable. We have a lot of storage capability. We've been able in the last 5 years to take a lot of the peak generation off the grid. And so ideally we get as many of these into a local fleet customer as possible. We sell them individually as well. And we'll keep an eye out for Rangers that we always want to recover, recuperate, fix up, and get back on the road. But I think the Rangers for us is really something that it will always be a core competency of what we do, even if it's not the main thing that we do. Even if the company does go in the direction of selling conversions or converting as a service trucks, like full half-ton to 1.5-ton trucks, we're always going to keep the Rangers around because in terms of value, in terms of vehicle value for an EV, there's really nothing that beats that, nothing at all.
Right, and like you said, in terms of like if you want to look at carbon cost, talk about 20 years of sunk cost, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. And we're not replacing all of the primary components, we're just replacing the battery. And we're replacing it with a battery that's realistically capable of 3,000 to 5,000 full cycles.
Right, and that's actually something that I think is important for people to remember is I know that certain companies push the 1,000,000-mile battery tagline, and it's a big pet peeve for me because looking at these LFP cells, the EVE LFP cells in particular, you're looking at a battery when it's run within its capabilities, like you said, of 4,000 to 5,000 cycles. A 200-mile EV with 4,000 to 5,000 cycles before you hit an 80% of your original capacity threshold, that is a 1,000,000-mile battery. Right. So they already exist.
Right, and the nice thing about the way we build them is we build them to be repaired. This is not something where, oh, something went wrong, guess we got to swap out your entire pack, right? This is something where we can plug in with a laptop, show the customers, here's the issue, we can enhance the balancing current, or we can do a rebalance on all the cells, or we can actually repair these. And for the really intent customer, we can also train them how to repair them. You know, assuming they have high voltage, assuming we believe they have the understanding of high voltage that they can be safe. It's, you know, right to repair is something that is critical to us moving forward with a lower carbon footprint. Because anytime you centralize your repair capability, your transportation is huge. Transportation sucks for carbon emissions, right? And so we want to put that power into either local capabilities or into the hands of the customers.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point too, because I don't mention it maybe enough on my channel with the work I'm doing on my own Ford Ranger, but having proper PPE, personal protective equipment, is crucial, right? And that's like I'll be perfectly honest. I'm jealous of the shop, right? The lifts, all of the equipment, because it makes working on these so much easier. Yeah, I think this you're doing a great job, Sean. I'm super happy to see this happening. I just want to get the word out there so people know, right? And you have a website for Trajectory EV, or?
Yeah, we do. Just trajectoryev.com.
Okay. And so, yeah, visit the site, check out what they're doing, and I guess feel free to give you a call, or?
Yeah. So our number is on the website. I can give it to you as well. You can post it wherever.
Yeah. Put it on the video. It's right there. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I just wanted to share with the EV community. This is great, and I mean, I'll keep you posted on how my Ranger goes, but then if I get out of my depth, I might be giving you a call myself, so, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, that's not the first time we've had that happen. Lanny has actually referred a couple of people down to us for us to take a look and help them out. We actually have some of the last official Ford Ranger equipment that really only Lanny has outside of us in the world. So we have the original programming computer for the Ranger. We have the very last original pack drop tool that actually goes up and grabs the pack and safely lowers it down. And so we've really tried to build Rangers as a core competency in what we do.
Okay. And it shows. So I'm really impressed, Sean. Thank you for showing me around. And like I said, check him out. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And put any questions or comments you have down below. I'd love to hear. And thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.